Now that I'm actually looking at it.
I would have a lot of very specific questions for him. And I would press him as well as Kamala so hard. Kamala. I don't.
Yep. I will not say it either.
I hate getting people's names. I hate getting people's names wrong. So I really hate saying her name wrong. But I've heard it said different ways in her response to both. So I don't really know what to call her other than Kamala. But I think that they both need to be pressed on, like, I want a clear and concise from you step plan of what you plan on doing to reverse the psychological, financial impacts that you put on the Black community through your crime bill. Like, what type of reciprocity do you
man. Come
like
on,
you
man.
own?
Look at my record. The crime bill was good, man. Come on.
Yeah, like I need you to explain to me what you plan on doing. Like, how do you plan on getting us to they say get over it. But just like I was telling somebody saying today, like, yo, the people in their 30s and 40s and late 20s, like I'm in my early 30s. I am the jokes that y'all said, calling us, crack babies, and it's so funny because their parents, brothers, uncles are going to jail. So now we're adults. We've seen what has happened to our friends, our family, people in our community. We've seen families be ripped apart by Joe Biden's crime bill and the drug laws. And it's very important that we bring up that simultaneously, Joe Biden was writing these crime bills and these laws with crack to cocaine. The U.S. government was intentionally and specifically putting crack cocaine in the Black community.
Yeah.
So it's not like they were just, Black people were just, you know what, we're going to do some crack. We're going to fuck up our whole community. No, the Reagan administration, because they've even admitted it, were putting crack cocaine and guns and all these other drugs in the Black community on purpose. So then Joe Biden goes behind that and he crafts his first crime bill in the 80s, which was so racist that even Reagan was like, nah, this is too much.
Did he work with Storman for that?
He was on the right of Reagan, I remember that.
But you're right on the money on that, because it's not even it's even worse than that, because not only does Kamala Harris don't have a plan to fix her problems that she had with the Black community and the issues that she started, she's openly like, yeah, I don't prioritize the Black community. That's what she openly been saying. And I actually found this while you're talking now, because you brought up such a great point. Let me pull this up here. So just in case people miss what I'm talking about here, because she had this interview, and this is why Black people despise Kamala Harris. I don't know if you guys saw this one yet, but this is when she was specifically asked.
There's a lot of reasons why we don't kick it with her.
Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No. Let's be clear about it.
You're not doing anything to benefit Black people.
Now I can see everybody.
Like that's
okay. I can see everybody now.
Oh, awesome. So
I don't know what you just did, but now I can see everybody.
So that's the thing. Like, it's funny because Joe Biden right now, I remember I've seen a recent poll that had him like 85% with the Black vote. But I remember when Kamala Harris was first chosen as a VP nomination, his support dipped in the Black community immediately. Immediately. Yeah, there was a point in which she was
didn't have support herself.
Right, and Kamala was embarrassed during the primary for the same reason, because at first I thought Kamala was going to be a giant threat. We talked about this before, but I thought she was going to be a threat because she signaled that she was going to be a more progressive candidate at first, where she was pretending to support Medicare for all. She would pretend to be a progressive prosecutor, for example. But then she pivoted to the right. She pivoted as a centrist, and she pretty much lost the entire 10%, 12% of her base. She was only 1-2% before she was forced to drop out, which shows that this whole quote unquote democracy we have is kind of a sham, because Kamala Harris was picked by the oligarchy a very, very long time ago. And
they was trying to make her a household name around the time, way before the impeachments. We was hearing about her and Cory Booker back to back. And I was like, is they gonna run for president? What the hell? They actually did.
There was even an article, but wait, quick question. Are you recording these
Yeah, we
to play
live
later?
now.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
it'll
just
be on
need
YouTube.
to
It'll be on
know,
YouTube later, so you can check
to
it
know
out.
because it's like almost my favorite time of day, and I need to know like how often I need to turn on and off this video.
No, I mean you can, like I said, you can keep your video on, you keep it off, you can switch it on and off. I'm pretty flexible.
Okay.
But it'll be back. I'll upload it right back on YouTube. But go ahead.
Okay. Just because I'm just trying to make sure certain things. I don't want to do certain things on camera, but
Yeah.
Kamala was chosen. Like there were articles back in 2016, 2017, right after Hillary lost, where Kamala was going off into Martha's Vineyard and a lot of places. And I'll have to find, because I've shared it before, and I'll have to find it again. But they chose her. The donors chose her back in 2017. Like this was already out there. So when she didn't win the nomination, which I didn't think she would, because she doesn't have that support. In a cursory glance of her legislation and her policies and what she's done makes sense why people don't support her. And then she just dropped out real quick before the primaries could really get rolling. Which, by the way, Andrew Yang got more support in California than she did, which really makes me wonder
embarrassing.
How much support does she have in California, period, to even have become senator? Like how many, it really makes me question. She did so bad in her own home state, kind of like Elizabeth Warren did. Like if you're doing that bad in your home state, it really makes me question how much they like you. But when she dropped out really quick, and as soon as she dropped out and it looked like Biden was winning, I said it. I was like, if Joe Biden becomes the nominee, he's going to pick Kamala Harris. I knew he was going to pick her. I really wish he had picked Elizabeth Warren, just because honestly, I don't want Black women to have to deal with the baggage that's going to come with being a VP, because they're going to place her as a Black woman, because they've already just like dismissed her Indian heritage for some reason.
Yeah, that's
she's a Black woman, and they're making it seem as if she's going to help Biden, and how we need to do that. So you know what they're going to do, what they always do. They're going to put so much responsibility on Black women and literally make us like a figure of a mammy to take care of Joe Biden. And when Joe Biden steps wrong and he does something, Kamala Harris is going to be made to go in front and try to explain what's going on. Because I don't think we're going to see too much of Joe Biden anyway.
We're going to see Joe Biden for exactly a month. Then something's going to happen, and it's going to be Kamala.
Yep.
Also, in California, she has next to nothing for support because we know who she is and we can't stand her ass. And as far as like they're gonna put the onus on Black women, they already have. They sat there and said, "Oh, the only like Black women have to vote Democrat. If you don't vote Democrat, then Democrats can't win." And then Trump is the ultimate evil fascist dictator ever, and it's all your fault if he gets reelected. No, it's actually all white women's fault if he gets reelected.
Yeah, they're doing it with Black men too. They're doing it with Black women and Black men, and it's already frustrating me.
Yeah, it drives me crazy because go ahead, RJ. I know you had something to say earlier. Now chime in.
Yeah, what I will say about Kamala, the scary thing about her is that she's reconglomerating the entire Black professional elitist class. Al Sharpton, all these civil rights leaders, the professional Black elite class, they were pretty disappointed in Obama. I mean, they even said, "Hey, we should have pressed him harder when he was in office, and there were things we didn't get done." By having Kamala as VP, you have all these HBCUs, all these HBCU presidents, ambassadors. It makes them happy. It makes Black civil rights leaders that are older happy. And I've been trying to talk to older Black Americans, and they're stuck on Kamala. Even one of my parents, like at first he hated her. Now that she's VP, he loves her. So it's one of those situations.
That terrifies me because I'm already seeing like normie support for Kamala go up, because we just laid out the fact how unpopular she was throughout the course of the primary and throughout the course of even her Senate run. I mean, a lot of people didn't like her, didn't care about her, because the entire Kamala as a cop thing started long before the primary. So we was aware of her terrible record coming in, and this is what terrifies me, is the establishment's ability to rehabilitate a failed politician.
Or pretty much sanitize them, and that's what's going on with Kamala. I don't know any comrade, I don't know any organizer that I personally know that's in California that was working on stuff like that with prison reform that I've been looking into. I don't know any of them that was supporting Kamala. I don't see it. So I know that the support wasn't there. I am afraid of that. And it definitely is a generational divide. And you can see it within these interviews. That's why the interview we're going to talk about those ladies on MSNBC, that's why people are so shocked and they have all these negative things to say. Because even when people like Donna Greyjoy and other people were saying, no, it's definitely a generational divide. There's a lot of young Black people who don't support Biden, and they vehemently are against him and Kamala, but they put him in that position anyway. So now that people are talking to, I think the 45 and under crowd, like 18 to 30, I'm still in like the 18 to 35, but I know even further up, like a lot of people do not like Kamala, and they knew that if they had paid attention. So that's why when they go on these interviews on these news shows, people are confused. You do a curiosity glance of Twitter and follow just a few people, and you will see a lot of younger Black people from the beginning saying we do not like Kamala Harris, and these are the reasons why. And it's always been policy reasons why.
And one thing I will add to that too is that one of the biggest struggles too is the Obamas. I mean, look at the Obamas. They handpicked Kamala Harris, and so what I'm noticing too is that when Barack Obama ran for president the first time, he called Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton puppets of Wall Street. They have an inside plan, outside plan. They can never talk straight. They go to Wall Street all the time, yet he does the same goddamn thing when he leaves office. And what I've noticed, too, is that neoliberalism isn't just really a white thing now. It's Black. It's basically Black and a woman, and that's kind of the problem. Because even when Barack Obama was the first Black president, there was a thing in the Black community. You cannot criticize Obama. You cannot, because everyone else is doing it. And so now with Kamala being a Black and woman now, she could be the first woman as VP. I mean, think about that. Like, you can't touch her because if you criticize her, it's sexist. And also, too, if you criticize her too hard from the right wingers, then now you're racist now. And look, I'm gonna dig deeper into this before I let you go. But
no, go ahead, break it down, brother.
For people who are minorities and those who face oppression, it's valid to use those excuses. The problem I have is I have a problem with the establishment figures using those same stereotypes that people in the minority have, and they use it when they're in positions of power. Right. They're taking advantage of it. So now, that's basically all to say.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head, both of you guys, because Kamala Harris will be untouchable when she's in a position of power. And like I mentioned earlier, they already started the rehabilitation process for Kamala Harris. So what I mean by that, if, for example, Barack Obama and his administration was a disaster. And as far as I'm concerned, that is as bad as an administration the Democratic Party can possibly get, right? So you have a guy who took 2 wars, turned to 7. You had a guy who tanked Black wealth. You had a guy who destroyed the Latino community. By the way, something they don't talk about on MSNBC and CNN, like Donald Trump, now that his first term is coming to an end, his deportation numbers dwarf. Is nothing compared to Barack Obama's. It's like 70% less. I mean, sorry, like 30% less than Barack Obama. I want to find the chart because he actually way less than Donald Trump in terms of deportation.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that.
I'm gonna see if I can find it so you guys can see it. But it's like at the end of the first term, if you compare first term to first term, he's like significantly like 30% less than Barack Obama. I bring that up because my point is, like, almost if you across the board, Barack Obama was a disaster. But this year he was announced as the world's most admired man. Now,
who's voting for this nigga?
I don't know.
How can you vote?
But you
vote for that?
Ashley just told you who voted for stuff like that. It's older people. Older people look at him completely as recognition, as representation only. They don't look at policy. They look at Black man. That's all they see.
Not only that, if you do try to talk to some of them, like, honest to God, I have had arguments with my mom and she has started to cry. Like, I have seen people talk to people they know, and then they get so emotional because they're emotionally attached to this man. And every time you say things like, you don't even know him though. Like, you don't know him as a man. He's not your friend. He's never been to your house. He doesn't know anything about you. He's a politician. He ran for this job. Your taxes are paying for him to do this thing. Like, that's all he is. He is a politician. You are his constituent. Stop trying to make these relationships more than what it is. As a matter of fact, there is no relationship. There's no relationship.
Yeah,
he don't want the best. Every time we try to progress in America, Barack Obama comes up opening his fucking mouth.
Obama is a villain.
Oh yeah, he the truth.
Obama is a villain.
But that's
Obama
the whole,
is a villain.
That's the whole plot. That's the whole plot. You know how the movie go. It's always the nigga that you didn't think it was the villain. You know, it's always that nigga. It's always the scientist or the nice guy that helped your kid, you know, when she fell off her bike. But yeah.
Go ahead.
I would say he definitely, y'all, I was like a hard down Obama supporter. Like I canvassed for him. I did phone banking for him. Like I was called all kind of names going to certain neighborhoods to get people registered and talk to him about like, all of that, like hook and line, like straight up. But once you really started looking into his presidency and the policies and the things that he did, he was awful. And there are a few things that I'm going to hate Obama for. One is definitely squashing things like Occupy, having to create Black Lives Matter, all of this stuff. There's a lot of things he did wrong, and there's a lot of things I don't like. But if there is one thing I'm going to hate him for forever, is what he did in Flint when he pretended that he drank that water.
I literally saw that, and I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it when I saw that.
Not only that, he sent the army up here so they can practice target practice inside of the abandoned houses that we was trying to get, the abandoned buildings we was trying to get turned into shelters or just tore down because they're just standing there. So he let them come up there and use the buildings to shoot after. I think this is like the same week he came up there and drank the water. We like, what the hell is he just smacking us in our face? Like, all right, ain't no Democrat. I'm like, after that, ain't no Democrat gonna win Michigan ever again.
And I want to add on.
Go ahead, RJ, and then Ashley.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to add on that too, because when Barack Obama came to Flint, I mean, he sided with the killer governor, and Governor Rick Snyder was so unpopular. There were petitions for him to basically get removed from office. And look at now, Rick Snyder endorsed Joe Biden.
Right.
And the Biden campaign accepted the endorsement, pissed off the entire city of Flint. And so you know what that means, because there's a window of prosecution. So if you want to prosecute a governor for a crime, there's a window of opportunity. That's closing. So by Rick Snyder, a Republican, because, you know, Joe Biden's doing this whole, it's not blue America, it's red America, United States America, the whole Obama 2004 speech. Rick Snyder knows, hey, if I just side with Uncle Joe, then he's going to get me off. So that's the big problem.
Hey, go ahead.
I love how right after he said that,
they both poison black communities. So I would expect for that man to endorse Joe Biden, because, you know, they both going off. All these old white men are going off of Joe Biden old fucking rules. They just riding his coattails with these laws and all that shit. They just remixing the '94 crime bill in their own way, and all these motherfuckers just like him. So I expect all evil white men to endorse Joe Biden, especially Richard Spencer and all the motherfucking Nazis. They really should be voting for Joe Biden, because he is, you know, he's the true racist. He's the professional KKK that can, you know, go wear his hood, wear his boys, but then he can, you know what I'm saying, put his suit on and talk to you. You know, he's not like these new school Nazis. You know,
I'm gonna add on.
Let Ashley come in and then you go right to the RJ. I know she has something to say.
I was just saying, to just piggyback off that, you have to think about who Biden's mentors were when he first went into the Senate. Like actual segregationists and hardline Dixiecrats and racists. I am from South Carolina. I moved to South Carolina when I was a little girl. I pretty much was raised there, spent half my life in South Carolina. Sean Thurman is racist as fuck. Like, he's awful. Unbelievably so. Joe Biden had him as a mentor. Like, straight up had him as a mentor and helped craft legislation with them. That is who Joe Biden is. He is the ultimate racist, because, like Ron said, you're right. He can be out with them, having a good time, and then he'll put on a suit and tie, smile, try to be nice to a few black people, go up there and press legislation that is going to do to communities of color, not just black communities. There's a lot of different communities that suffered from Biden's policies, but to do to us on every systemic level that they wish they could have continued during Jim Crow.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tie this in together too because